You would never guess which deck this is. I was shocked. Hello everyone, it's Silvia. Welcome back to my channel. I will have to say that this is the second time in which I'm filming the intro because something happened. And so this is the second time that this happens on my channel, in which I'm starting the video off by saying that this is a tarot and oracle decks haul video. So there's going to be a few tarot, a few oracle decks, and also a couple of books. And I started with one deck and I fell in love so hard with this deck that the whole video I keep on talking about this deck and showing stuff and telling you why I really love it. And then it doesn't really feel like it feels like it doesn't make sense for me to go ahead and unbox other decks. And so that will be done in the next video. But honestly, stay tuned because you would never guess which deck this is. I was shocked. So we're going to start with a tarot deck that makes me incredibly nervous because it's an Insight Edition deck. It's completely new. Don't even know whether this time they released it first in Australia. Don't think it's possible. It's probably released worldwide, but I haven't seen it anywhere, not even on Instagram. And that says a lot. But also at the same time, it makes me very nervous because I haven't seen the minors. I have seen a few of the majors and I love them, but at the same time, I'm worried that the minors are going to be pippish, as it just so happens for a number of times when we look at an Insight Edition deck. I don't know if you were already watching my channel, but if you were a few months ago, maybe even a year and a half ago, I can't remember, you would have probably witnessed what I call the Ghostbuster tarot fiasco. I got so upset in that video when I was doing the unboxing that I was actually considering removing that unboxing from the video itself. But then I thought to myself, I'm probably not going to be the only person who's really upset that they butchered the Ghostbuster, which is such a darling for the movie industry. And for us, the viewers, the audience, the readers, and it's just so important to give credit to the monumental effort sometimes that is behind the production of a book or a movie. And tarot is important for us. We are part of the tarot community. We are tarot collectors. We're tarot readers. I think that this needs to be addressed. Insight Edition needs to understand that our concerns about their decks needs to be understood, it needs to be considered, and it needs to be addressed. And it is true that lately they have gotten better and better. And I for one, and I'm a person that always believes in positive reinforcement. So I'm always praising anyone who's doing the right thing. That's my way of training my cat, for example. I've trained them both this way. I wasn't always right. It didn't always work, but that's what I believe should be done rather than just criticizing. I'm not shying away from criticizing, but I'm saying whenever they do something right, I want to praise it. So, for example, when they released the Universal Monsters Tarot, that was excellent. The Horror Tarot, that was excellent. Even the Wicked Tarot, that was actually really good. Then it's up to me whether I like it or not, but at least we can all agree that they're making the effort to, let's say, steer away from mixing up really gorgeous majors and absolutely lazy peeps for minors. However, I also know that sometimes they just tend to go backwards, like it's two step forwards, one step back. And so it is very frustrating for me because let me tell you a secret. Dune is incredibly important for me, and that's the reason why I made the parallel with the Ghostbuster Tarot, because Ghostbuster, the movie, was incredibly important for me when it comes to sentimental value was the last movie that I could go and watch with my mom, because then she fell ill and then she passed away. And so it was my fault. Obviously, Inside Edition doesn't care about these personal details of my life. So it's not like they said, oh, hang on a second. Oh, yeah, Ghostbuster movie was very important for Silvia. So let's make an effort for the Ghostbuster tarot. Of course, I don't expect them to do that. That's so silly. But at the same time, I cannot cancel this anxiety and these expectations that I have for the Dune deck. Also because it just so happens that one thing that I absolutely love about the whole of the Dune saga is the concept of the Bene Gesserit. And this deck is supposed to be Dune, and then with the subtitle called Bene Gesserit. So let me just grab it so I can show you. And I already really like the colors, so the color palette that they use for the box. This image is really, I really love it. And I'm already, even you see the font, for example, so many of these things, I think that they're brilliant because these are all U's, except that they're all in different rotations. So D, U, N, E. That is brilliant. I think they've done a fantastic job to compose this. But then you see here it says Bene Gesserit, Tarot deck and guide. So my seriously, my tachycardia right now is due to this. I'm really worried that they just call it the Bene Gesserit because they are aware that the Bene Gesserit is a how should I say this, is a tribe of women that are initiated to the secret of magic. And also because it's a sci-fi saga, of course, this type of magic this is not fantasy, it's a sci-fi. When you find magic in sci-fi, is it's a fighting magic, you know what I mean? Like it's a magic that generally is used for fights, and it's a supernatural. Obviously, magic is always supernatural. But what I mean is that there's less intuition applied to the magic in a sci-fi saga than there is in magic in a fantasy saga. I hope I'm explaining myself, but in any case, I was so fascinated when I read Dune for the first time decades ago. I was so fascinated by the idea and the concept of these wonderful women. It was, to me, one of the very first examples. Let's not forget the very first one was published decades ago. It was one of the first examples in which I, as a female, could look up to a group of other women that were considered extra cool, and they had fantastic powers. And that meant that even in a sci-fi, and trust me, female roles in a sci-fi have done, we've assisted to a fantastic character arc. So there's an amazing evolution of female characters in sci-fi, because at the beginning they were just, big boobs and showing a lot of skin because that's a way in which they were presented. Now we are assisting at this incredible explosion of all of the powers of female intuition, female power, female unity, community. It's just amazing. But back then, I was really worried about the presentation of this kind of role of a female character, especially of the female body. But when we look at the concept of the Bene Gesserit, there is one thing that stood out for me, and it has accompanied me for many, many decades, ever since I read the first line, the first time. And there is something that Paul's mother repeats to herself, and it's part of teachings as the Bene Gesserit. And it says, fear is the mind killer. I have used that sentence, which is meant to be used at the time in which you are under duress, you're facing something really troubling, you're even facing something that could be life-threatening, something scary. that sentence has been so important in my life. I've used it so many times. I've told that to myself so many times in so many occasions. And it has always really worked. And it makes me also kind of emotional to say that, because you kind of hope and no one will go through life having to face something that will prompt them to tell themselves fear is the mind killer, to just calm themselves down. And yet, when it does happen, because let's face it, life is life, it is very interesting to see that literature, in this case, or also movies, do have a participation in real life. It's not just that they are the depiction of life, they help you in your life. So, consuming movies and books and TV shows and music is extremely important, I believe. And that is one of the reasons why I love Dune so much, because of this sentence, fear is the mind killer. And because of what I mean, the books did for me. This one, this deck looks like it's really awesome, but I'm also scared of working myself up too much. And that means that I'm going to be extremely disappointed. So I don't know what to do, but this is the unboxing. I have not seen many cards before. So if it just so happens that it's going to be disappointing, please bear with me if I get upset. It will happen. I don't know, maybe not. I mean, fingers crossed. But without much further ado, I realize that I've been talking a lot. Let's just get into it and let's open it. It's just that I wanted to communicate with you the level of anxiety that I've got about this deck. How do I open it? And the reason why I put so much hope in this, because it means so much to me. I don't know whether, I know that it sounds so cheesy. I know that, trust me. Fear is the mind killer. Why would that help you? Well, you know what? If it does, kudos. I mean, we've got to do whatever we got to do just to stay afloat sometimes. And if repeating a sentence like that helps you, like it helped me, then why not? And it's, well, from an our scientific point of view, it's actually entirely true. Fear is acting up of the amygdala, where we decide whether we are in danger or not. And the amygdala, um, let's say, because human beings have been built with a pre-existing code as to avoid self-destruction, and also try and avoid all sorts of threats that could distract us, that could finish us. The amygdala has the power to override our nervous system, our calculated responses. So if your amygdala feels that you're in danger, then it overrides your calculated, reasoned responses and you flee. Sometimes you just flee without even realizing it. So obviously, fear is the mind killer. It's true because it silences temporarily the mind in order to preserve the body. So per se, it's not a bad thing, but it's also true that sometimes we need to be lucid. And fear does not make us lucid at all. In any case, I'm just procrastinating. I don't know if you realize that. I'm just really obviously procrastinating because I'm so scared. Let me just zoom in because we want to see the cards, obviously. So let's go. Let's go. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I love it. I love this. Really beautiful. Nothing to say about it. This is slightly different from what they've done so far for their other decks, and I like it. Then we got the guidebook. I wish this were alive, because at this point I would ask you guys whether you prefer me to go through the guidebook first and this way kind of spoiling the cards, because obviously I will be seeing them in the guidebook, or should I completely ignore the guidebook for now and go directly to the cards? I'm gonna do that. Oh, the backs are beautiful. These are the worms. I like the backs. Okay. So far, so good. I'm so scared. If you could hear my heartbeat. Anyway. Okay. Let me just put this aside. And okay, of course, yeah. So this is the Mouse of the Desert. Basically, it's the name that Paul Atreides then takes because he admires the capability to survive and the resilience of this rodent. And it's all about, so Dune, what it was written, was all about understatements. Yes, there's heroes in the saga. Of course, there's heroes. There was always heroes, but they're not arrogant at all. Although, let me just tell you, I have since noticed that in the adaptation for in the movies, it feels like the character arc of Paul Atreides with Timothée Chalamet is going towards being a little bit arrogant. So I don't know where they're gonna go with that. I hope not. But in any case, I get it. The full fantastic because it signifies the moment in which Paul starts his new life. So fantastic. The magician, I get it because Spice is in the sand. It's actually down in the sand, so there's excavation and everything. But I completely get it, and I see that this is, the glittering of the sand. So for the magician, and I like it. Of course, the high priestess. So this is the equivalent high priestess of the Order of the Bene Gesserit. And I don't know if you can see here. You probably can't, but there is a box here. So she's holding her hand on top of a box. And this is the box of pain. And basically, it's a test that she needs to understand whether Paul is definitely the one or not, the one on the prophecy. There's always a prophecy about the one. And she needs to see whether he's got what it takes or what are the things that she needs to verify about him. And so she tells him to put his hand inside the box. And this box has the power to conjure an impossible pain. And he cannot take his hand away, otherwise, he will lose his hand. And well, I don't want to spoil anything because obviously, if you guys haven't watched the movies or you want to read the books and you haven't yet, I don't want to spoil anything. But it makes so much sense and I like it so far. Okay, so this is Paul's mother, the Empress. She's also part of the Bene Gesserit. I don't look for similarities or resemblances between the faces of the movies, the latest movies, and this deck. I probably wouldn't care for that. And it's also because, honestly, if you have watched the other movies or even the TV show, or even if you just read the books, that's something that you wouldn't do. But I'm okay for her. For Paul Muzzard to be the Empress, it's absolutely fine. And there's also a significant scene about the water. So if you watch the movie, you will know. The Emperor is obviously the Emperor, I think his name is Shaddam the Fourth, and is the emperor that commandeers all the great houses. Atreides is a house Atreides, so it's a family, basically the great families. I get it. It's fine. Okay, the Hierophant is Stilgar. I think that it's great. Let me just zoom in even further, maybe not too much though. I like it that they chose Stilgar because he is a mentor. I thought that they would have gone with this trainer, but Stilgar is his mentor in his new life. And if I'm correct, Stilgar is also one of the very first ones to believe that Paul is the Muad'Dib. So the Muad'Dib is the one in the prophecy. So I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this. The lovers, I don't like this, but it's fine. It was kind of an obvious choice to go with Paul and Chani because, I mean, what else could they have shown otherwise? I'm okay with that. It's a choice. And also because ironically, Paul initially doesn't even choose Chani because he's still at the beginning, he still has to obey the legacy of the great houses. So they will choose a princess for her. But it's okay. I'm okay with that. It's fine. And I love that they kiss each other when they're out in the sun and in the desert. So obviously they're supposed to, save the water of their bodies. So The chariot is great. It's a great depiction. I know that it's probably not super duper clear what is happening right now, but if you see this is Paul riding the worms and he's literally surfing them. And I love the idea. I've always been fascinated by the way in which Frank Herbert had this idea about these worms that were absolutely atrocious, horrifying, and yet at the same time, they were not maleficent in the sense that they, if they, when they kill, and they do kill a lot of people, they don't do it because they are inherently bad. They do it simply because they live in this ecosphere and that's what they do. And ironically, by their constant moving, they're actually bringing back up the spice that was hidden in the underground. So they're actually very functional to the ecosystem. And at the same time, when they kill someone, it's because they're on their way and not necessarily because they want to kill someone. And the idea that you can serve them it's really cool. Okay, so strength, Duncan, Idaho, because this is trainer, let's say, but it's also because Duncan, Idaho teaches to Paul that physical strength is not the only way to defeat an enemy, and as such, is not the most important thing. So I like it that it's strength rather than the Hierophant. I could see both way, but it's okay. So the hermit is Dr. Kynes, and she's also another inhabitant of Arrakis, like Chani. I don't, to be honest with you, I don't remember that much about her. But I understand the hermit, I get it because she is a bit of an outsider, so I can get that. The Wheel of Fortune is literally the mouth of the worm. Love it. Very, very well done. Let me just say this because there's so much sand on the whole of the saga, I expect the whole deck to be about these minimal colors, and I'm okay with it as long as they keep a bit of variation because there's so much going on, not just out in the open, but also when they're in the indoors, for example. So hopefully they will show you a lot of that. Of course, the sigil for justice, absolutely. The hand one, yeah, when this is directly from the movie when there is the first encounter with the first worm and Paul is just mesmerized by it and it's up to Duncan Idaho to pull him inside the ship, otherwise he will just die. Yeah, okay. This is the moment in which Chani is reviving Paul with her own tears. And in order to understand how incredibly important and relevant this is, I will remind you that Arrakis doesn't have water at all. And so obviously every single body fluid is recycled in their own, do they call it, uniform, let's say. So there is an hydraulic system that recycles sweat, tears, etc., and purifies it through a filter and feeds it as water to rehydrate the body. So obviously tears were a commodity and ever since the beginning, children were taught not to cry and to conserve tears. So the fact that she has to, but she's kind of directed by Paul's mother to do that, to revive Paul. So yeah, I get it. It's great. Temperance for Chani, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, she kind of has to be finding a balance between what she wants and what her destiny actually brings to her. So perhaps there's something about that. Oof, the Baron. And I just really love that they chose the Baron for the devil because I have so many horrible images just impressing my retina. Curiously enough, not from the latest movies, but from the ones from decades ago. Maybe I was more impressionable back then. There's a couple of things that he does that, because of he's full of vices, really disgusting figure, and some of the things that he is portrayed doing in the original movie were really disgusting, and they still stay with me, and sometimes I still think about it. So I get it for the devil, absolutely. The tower, yeah, that's the I don't remember the main building. The star, when they finally recognize that Paul is the Muad'Dib, and he kind of becomes the Muad'Dib. So he is the one, but he needs to become the one as well, if you know what I mean. So the star card is the moment in which they pledge allegiance to him. So yeah, good. The moon is Dr. Yue. We've seen him already betraying the family since the beginning. I don't necessarily want to associate the moon with betrayal. And it's also because honestly, Dr. Yue has also been really helpful to the Atreides family. So what I would say in this is that sometimes we need to understand that motivations are hidden. There are hidden motivations in people. And I do kind of get that in the moon, so I'm okay with it. The sun is where he's finally surfing or riding, but I call it surfing because I love the term. One of the worms, and everyone in Iraqi is obviously rejoicing and celebrating. This is the moment of truth, and when he is, I don't know if you can tell, it's a bit confusing because this happens in a library, and these are books, and so the image is a little bit dark, but he is basically putting his hand into that paint box that I was talking about before, for this test with the mother of the head of the Bene Gesserit, the order of the Bene Gesserit. So this is the moment of truth, and I like it for judgment. And this is the moment in which, when he defeats the champion brought forward by the emperor, Paul defeats him. This is, I believe, they're up to the second installment of the Dune saga. So the emperor kneels to Paul and kisses the sigil of the ring. And this is Paul's dad. Paul's dad, unfortunately, Oscar Isaac, one of my favorite actors of the whole time, absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, dies very early on. It just so happens that you don't really know that much about him, but it needs to be. So now we start with the minors, and I'm so very scared because I've never had any problems in liking and appreciating the majors. I think that they always do a fantastic job. I am very rarely disappointed, but I can't say the same about the minors. So far, I love this deck, but I'm also really nervous. So let's just go ahead. We're starting with the Suit of Spice. And I don't know whether I want to see whether. So one of the problems with the Inside Edition decks is that sometimes they rename the minors, and it's not always easy to understand what element they're referring to. So let's see if I can deduce that by looking at the cards. It has been a hit and miss experiment before, so I don't know. But in any case, Paul's father, the king of spice. Paul's mother, the queen of spice. Yeah, I get it. I love the fact that there is this idea of the spice coming down from the sky, basically. And Duncan, Idaho. So perfect. So okay. Okay, so we've got so this is Paul here, and there's here, I don't know if you can see here. I don't know whether this is a flaw on the card. It could be, or this is just the so the Sparky is watching anything related to Arrakis before they go there, they fly there. And so this is the projector, so there is this sense of the light, and maybe that's why it looks like this. I'm not entirely sure. I hope that it's not a defect or a flaw on the card, but I'm really not that phased anyway. So now we're starting the Ace of Spice. I get it. We've got the Ace of Spice. Fine. Let's move on. Duo Spice. And there's two. You know what? I'm not gonna say. I think that they're talking about fire, the suit of fire, simply because it looks like these are wands, and also because spice could also be, because it's nurturing, it's a substance. It could also be pentacles, but I think that so far, visually, it speaks to me of the Suit of Wands, but I'm not entirely sure, so let's see. Okay, at least so far, we're fully scenic. This is the moment in which they land on Arrakis, and Paul's father is still alive. So they land on Arrakis, and they just, get confronted with the new reality, which is completely different. This is the Emperor's champion that is challenging Paul in a fight. This one is odd that it's in black and white. I wonder whether it's a mistake. I hope it's not a mistake. But okay. And the actor playing the Emperor's champion is Austin Butler. Unrecognizable. I also like Austin Butler a lot. The Five of Spies, this is one of the excavators that they use to mine the spice. So in the Six of Spies, we see this is the Baron, and I think this is the Emperor's champion, but I'm not entirely sure. I completely forgot this scene. My apology. So this one, the Seven of Spies, this is basically a spaceship. They are very small, very agile. They can pretty much go and fly anywhere. This is when they have to leave on their own because the emperor's troops are searching for them. And there's another black and white, but this is the moment in which there's still that kind of arena and there's this fight. The Ten of Spies. So the King of Water. Okay, so I think that we're moving on to the installment number 2 because this is the Queen of Water is still Paul's mother, but after she totally embraced her role in a Bene Gesserit community. So these are on her forehead and cheeks. These are sacred symbols from the Bene Gesserits. And though we're moving back up like 10 years before with when they were still together, Paul's father and Paul's mother. So I'm thinking, well, water is water, so, cups. Page of Water, Ace of Water. I think this is Paul's sister, maybe, because she's already born with the blue eyes. The Two of Water is the Walk of the Desert. I love it. And they walk together. Yes, yes, it's well done. So far, it's well done. I'm sweating. They're still together in the Three of Water. So this is the Four of Water, and then we got the Five of Cups. I get it, it's fine. The Six of Cups when he was a little baby. The Seven of Cups. So the Eight of Cups. Obviously, this is from Florence Pugh. When she's basically the assigned bride. And she's also part of the Bene Gesserit, but she's not, let's say she is her own personality. She's got her own agenda and she works in a way that it looks originally like some kind of a spy. So it's a very interesting dynamic, and Paul has to take her as wife, and this is Chani. That is, everyone else is kneeling, and Chani is standing and looking at Paul because Paul publicly acknowledged that he has to take her as wife and not Chani. And so there's the Eight of Water. I get it because she runs away. So far, so good, guys. So far, so good. So the Nine of Water, Nine of Cups. This is heavily based on the latest movies, which I'm completely okay with. But at the same time, it means that there are differences between what I know best, which is the actual novels, and the movies. I should have probably rewatched the movies, but this gives me the possibility to do it today. And so, yeah, a Ten of Water, so much spice. The community, this is the community of Iraqis. They know how to make the worms their friends, like not their friends, but using them in a productive way because they've always lived there and the worms are part of their environment. Okay, this is the Emperor's Champion, of course, the king of crysknives. So the crysknives are very special weapons, has special powers, also magical powers. So he was defeated by Paul. Another black and white. This is not entirely black and white. This is all black and white. I don't really know the reason behind this. Uh, but I'm assuming there is one, and it's not just random ace of crysknives. Okay. Yes, this is the Baron. So obviously there's but we're going really into the movies now, and the second movie actually. And if you haven't watched it yet, there's a lot of spoilers here, just for you to know. Woof. Just for you to know, there's a lot of spoilers here. So it might, I might not always explain. I kind of get it though, but I might not want to always explain. This is from the first one. What is going on? The first one again. This is at the very beginning. He's actually confronting himself with one of the warriors of the Iraqi population because he's doubting. This person is doubting that Paul, they just discovered them, so they're like, sorry, but this guy is coming from a different planet. What do they want, etc.? So they have a fight, and this is the first time in which Paul is showing others what he can do. But it is the six of crysknives because it's a rite of passage. I totally get it. At the end of the fight, Paul doesn't want to kill him, but he has to because that's tradition. So obviously that's the journey you don't want to embark upon, but you have to. Got it? Well done. Fantastic. Then the 7, I don't remember this one. So you know what? I'm just gonna set it aside because I want to check that one out because the 7 of air is very important for me. So I just want to check that one out. This is the Baron. The Baron fluctuates, fluctuates. Just, he's such a really weird character, the Baron. Disgusting, but at the same time, fascinating. The 9 of, well, in this case, it's Paul's mother that waits out of the door when Paul is being tested by the mother of the Bene Gesserit. So obviously she's really worried about her son. And this is the betrayal, basically. Dr. Yue betraying, but this is Duncan Idaho. I think it's Duncan Idaho confronting Dr. Yue. And King of Planets, so we got the Emperor. I forgot the name of her character, but this is Florence Pugh as Queen of Planets, the Knight, Page of Planets. So obviously planets look like coins, so I would say Pentacle and the Earth. This is the Council. 2 of Planets. Beautiful. 3 of Planets. I want to check this one out, but no, these are the Legions, so I get it. It's the collaboration. The 4 of Planets. Dr. Yue, the 5 of Planets, yeah, when it's cast away, yep. And the 6 of Planets, 7 of Planets. I'm gonna check this one out as well. I'm always curious about the 7s. The 8 is doubling down on Paul's training. He has to, but that's the very beginning when they're wearing also their kind of protective shield and stuff like that. And the 9 of Planets is when, do they get to kill the Baron? I don't even remember when. And the 10 of Planets. This is when Florence Pugh has a conversation with the Emperor about what she needs to do. She's a very complex character. So I want to check first the 7 of crysknives, so the 7 of air and the 7 of earth. So crysknives, spice, water, crysknives, so the 7. So it's this one here. Let's see what it says. It goes directly into upright and reverse. Okay. The Fedaykin are cunning in their attack on Beast Raban. surrounding him while obscured by a haze of dust and sand. Someone in your life may be hiding their intentions or behaving in a devious way. Stay vigilant and beware unscrupulous characters. Reversed, trickery and deceit carry consequences. The truth will soon be revealed, like the Fidekin emerging from the sand. If an apology is made, will it be accepted? Time will reveal what you cannot now see. The road to righting malicious wrongs may be difficult and long, but unburdening the conscience is worth the effort. Loving it. I get it. It's true. The Fede can have a very astute way of attacking, of fighting. And whether that is considered dirty, I don't know. But we're looking at a Seven of Swords that is mostly echoing the meaning that we are used to in the IWS. So I'm completely okay with it. Not necessarily the way I read the Seven of Swords, but I understand that I'm the odd one out, not the other way around. So I'm okay with that. And the Seven of Planets, so the Seven of Pentacles or, Earth. Let's have a look here. So the Seven of Planets is this one here. Reverend Mother Gaius Helen Moyhan is a constant presence in the inner workings of the Empire, guiding multiple figures across many worlds. As she says to Princess Irulan, we are Bene Gesserit, we do not hope, we plan. I also love this in the sense that there is, like the yin and the yang, there's a part of good in the evil, and there's a part of evil in the goodness. Because the Bene Gesserit can also be yielded to provide power to the emperor. It's not just to, let's say, show the power of the community of these women. So I like the fact that we have a villain and a hero in the Bene Gesserit community as well. Learn from our example and put careful planning and forethought into your actions. Work hard now to reap the benefits in the future. I like it. It's a good Seven of Earth. I like it. Reversed, the Reverend Mother's plans are a continuation of the generations long and carefully crafted designs of the Bene Gesserit. In this position, the Seventh of Planets is a warning not to lose sight of your own plans out of a desire for instant gratification. If you feel your work ethic slipping, recall that sometimes the greatest rewards take time to achieve. I get it. It's fine. It's a good interpretation of the Seven of Earth. So as I've said many times, I've never had a problems with the writing of Insight Edition decks. I honestly think that they know tarot to a T. I honestly think that when they write the description or the meaning of a card, they know what to write. They have studied tarot. It is definitely following the RWS, and I'm okay with that because 95% of the decks out there are following the RWS. So why should I be upset that it's not more Marseille or more Thoth? The reason why we can get upset sometimes with Insight Edition is what I was mentioning earlier. So when you mix it up in such a way that the actual cards, the images on the cards are mixed between fully scenic, really beautiful, gorgeous cards, and then a really barely the lazy pip. That mix for me creates inconsistency and it doesn't make sense. In this deck, I haven't seen one single lazy card. Even when we look, well, sometimes the chords are just very similar, but I'm okay with that because that's also in the RWS. Sometimes the aces are simple, but I'm okay with that because that's also in the RWS. All of the other cards that pertain to the minors are fully scenics, all of them. Did I understand all of them? No, but that's absolutely fine because I have the guidebook and I can actually go back and look for it. You know what though? Let me just go back and find one of those cards that was in black and white because I just want to double check whether that's a mistake. I really hope it isn't, or if that was done on purpose. So we got the Four of Spice. So the Four of Spice is obviously, as I was thinking, is the Four of Fire. So the Four of Wands. So it's the first suit. So let's have a look. Oh no, it's okay. It's in black and white here as well. You know what? fine. I'm okay with that. I don't understand why they did that though. And I think that this one is the first. So let me just quickly read what it says here. For each of us, there comes times to celebrate publicly. For you, the time may be now as you complete a milestone. Whether you are rejoicing in a birth, graduation, or marriage, or completing a personal or professional goal, make it known. Just like Faye Rauter does after his public victory in the stadium. Gather others to commemorate this high point. And then reversed, your sense of stability is being shaken. This could refer to a move from your physical home or unsettling change in another grounding aspect of life. Being uprooted, even temporarily, can be frightening or uncomfortable, so focus on cultivating a sense of normalcy and stability where you can. Even in a gladiatorial battle where there are many unknowns, you are your own known quantity. It doesn't necessarily explain why this card will be in black and white, and there's only like 3, if I remember correctly, so I don't necessarily know why this happens. So there's another one here, and then I seem to remember that it was the suit of crysknives, so the suit of air that had this one, the queen of crysknives, that is also in black and white. This one is not in black and white, this one is not. So there's let's say some of these cards are with a limited color palette, but you can still tell that it's not in black and white. And if I'm probably misremember. I thought it was 3, 4. Yeah, no, there's 3. There's 3. So 1, 2, and 3 because this one is in color. So it is 2 in the suit of spice, the 4 of spice, the 9 of spice, and the queen of crysknives. You know what? It's all one scene, this one, because I believe this is the moment in which Rauta is defeating Yue. But let me just double check. The 9 of spice, obviously, is the 9 of wands, is the moment in which you're exhausted. So maybe they're not necessarily black and white. It's a scale of gray because that scene does a lot of darkness, and the ambience is reproduced with showing everything against the with the light in the backdrop, so you cannot really distinguish colors in the stadium. But I might be completely wrong, but this looks like it's taken from the same scene. So let me just read the 9 of spice. Lieutenant Lamville. Sorry, this is not Dr. Yue. I don't know what I was thinking. Lieutenant Lamville proves to be a dedicated, powerful warrior and a trusted aide to Gurney Halleck. His loyalty remains with House Atreides in even the direst of times. Follows his example by persisting with every drop of drive you can master from within. Keep your motivation in mind and allow it to fuel your determination. So overburden and hit with challenges and challenge you may be considered committing defeat. So this is still in the arena. And so let me just double check the Queen of Crysknives, which is ironically my significator, because I am the Queen. I feel like my significator is also, let's say, 80% the Queen of Swords and 20% the Queen of Cups. Queen of Crysknives. And we're going here. So the Queen of Crysknives is confident and clever, as Lady Margot Fenring proves to be when dealing on Bene Gesserit orders with Phaedra. Do not waste time with small talk. Be straightforward and get right to the heart of matters. When taken to extremes, the Queen of Crysknives can be deceitful and manipulative. Some think these are traits intrinsic to the Bene Gesserit. Yeah, because they have the voice. If you know, one of their superpowers, if I can call it like that, is the voice with the capital V, where they don't actually speak. Well, they speak, but their voice is acting more on the brains of the people that listen to the voice and takes a hold of their will. So it makes them do stuff that they don't have any control on. Something that these are traits intrinsic to the Bene Gesserit, who use every avenue available to guide the human race towards a specific destiny. They care not to allow spite to overcome your good judgment. I like that. I like the way in which the Bene Gesserit are addressed, because we know that even though they are a force to be reckoned with, but at the same time, they're not just positive. So as I was saying, there is a little bit of the concept of yin and yang. So there is it's not 100% either or. And obviously, it does depend on who's yielding the power of the Bene Gesserit and for what purpose. So I really like that. I love this deck. I would say that my expectations were met completely, even though I worked up myself so high that I was setting myself up basically for failure. I would say they've done a fantastic job. I love everything about it. The images on the cards are all scenic and they're actually really good. The ones that I don't remember, I will check them out, but I'm pretty sure that there is a 100% correspondence to the story and the meaning of the card. When it comes to, the technical specifications, it's a good deck. I mean, as I was saying earlier, I actually really like the box. This is really beautiful and also very sci-fi like. So I'm perfectly okay with that. And when it comes to the guidebook, we've seen it. It's pretty good. I don't know whether they also have some examples of spreads. I don't think that. Yes, they do. The Bene Gesserit strategy. We Bene Gesserit are keen strategists, weaving complex plots that fall into place across centuries. If you have a goal in mind, this tarot spread may help you manifest it. If you are facing several specific obstacles, feel free to draw additional obstacle cards along with additional advice cards to get further guidance. If you do this, you may place the pairings below card 2 and 3 respectively and continue lining them out that way until all your challenges are accounted for and addressed, leaving you with a tarot spread in the shape of a tower. So this one is rather interesting, obviously, the Bene Gesserit strategy. I like the idea that they look, as I explained earlier, the ambivalence of the concept of the Bene Gesserit. And then decisions of the Kisatz Darach. So the prophecy, basically, really interesting, this one as well. And it's got 6 cards, so that can be really cool. Chinese grief, yeah, absolutely. Chani and Paul's time together ends abruptly when he announces his intent in a politically driven move to take Princess Irulan as his bride. Beginnings and endings are a natural part of life, but that does not mean that they're not fraught with complexities and emotion. I also like these spreads. There's not that many, but 1, 2, 3, was it? Yeah, so if we have 3 spreads, and it's a little bit more than the usual 3-card spread. So there's an intention to actually reflect the major themes of the franchise. So I'm perfectly okay with that. So it's always, the author is always Minerva Siegel, and the illustrator is Sarah Rain Hammond, an American illustrator and graphic designer based in North Carolina. She's passionate about symbolism and storytelling using her art to highlight human experiences and emotions. Inspired by Southern roots, her illustrations reflect a mix of histories and perspectives, creating meaningful, visually rich narratives. Yes, but they needed to reflect the movies, because this, visually speaking, this is very much so reflecting the latest installment. So I would say, if you haven't watched it, so you don't have to watch the movies to appreciate this deck, but you kind of need to know what happens in the saga, in the books, in the story, because otherwise it might be difficult to read with this deck. Now, having said that, I really love it. I really love it. I honestly, I would have never thought that I'd say something like this about an Insight Editions deck ever. So I am really, really excited to work with this deck. And, as a matter of fact, because I've been talking for like an hour about this deck, I feel like at this point we might actually stop here with the video. And so you'll see other decks in a next video, because I feel like this deck deserves to be in a video by itself. I honestly, not in a million years would I ever imagine that I would have found myself in this situation and say something like that. This is crazy. I was almost sure 100% that this would have been disappointing. And not only am I not disappointed, I think they've done a fantastic job. So kudos, well done. Thank you so much, Insight Edition, for not ruining this experience for me. I am so very appreciative and I love this deck, guys. I really love it.